All right, guys, we're getting this going here. All right. Interesting times here. All right, welcome. Hear you now, 100%. Yes, I was muted. I had a phone call come in right when I went live here with you guys. All right, we are ready. I'm going to share my screen. This is what's going on. Gave a couple short signals the other day. Let's just go back in there and look real quick. Bitcoin currently short from the live Zoom. This was on the 15th, so that was Wednesday's call. And then I did go short on XRP, and I did put a stop loss at 237. And when I put that trade signal in, I did not have my stop loss in yet personally, but I did put it in the notification. I'm sorry, in the signal channel, I put 237, but I did not actually enter my stop loss on my side yet. And it was brought to my attention because it went up. Let me just go look and see, did I? No, you can see it right here. It was not added. And so what happened is my entry is the same currently. XRP entry $2.33. And I'm still in the trade in profit now. But somebody brought it to my attention that they got stopped out. And how am I still in? And that's because I never put my stop loss in, even though I put it on the board. So then once this started, and here's what it looked like during that time. So it was right about here. And what happened is it wicked up and hit the 237. Look at it. Look at that. It hit 239. I mean, so anybody who was, look at that, 239. So if you had your stop loss at 237, which was right here, and you got taken out right there, and then it fell. This stop loss that I have is at 241 right now. And it wasn't until after this happened that I realized I didn't have a stop loss. So I went and put one in above this wick. Now, I would have normally put it right above the wick, which would have been 240. But if you got stopped out at 237, I apologize. I did re-enter. I mean, I didn't even re-enter. I was just already in. And I didn't put a re-entry notification in there because I didn't get stopped out. So I didn't know that other people did, really, to be honest with you. So that's my bad if you got stopped out. But this would have been a good re-entry time because it is coming back up. It is coming back up to my entry. We are trending downwards, obviously, for both Bitcoin and XRP. We do have, let's just look at this overall downward trend here. We do have the possibility of this just, coming right up to about here and falling further. Why would it fall further? Someone asked, why is XRP dumping? Why is Bitcoin dumping? And let me show you. If we go over to Trading View, we got a couple things going on here. This is the weekly chart. Let me go to the daily and show you what I think is happening. We have an upward trending support that goes way back, right? That I think we're coming down to. And I would say that it's more like, have to look right. Let me go back over to here. Looks better, easier to see. Maybe it would help if I go on Bitcoin instead of XRP. All right, so here we are. We're in the overall upward trending channel. We have two things that are happening here. We have this blue line down here, which is going all the way back to pretty much down at the bottom here and touching at 26,000 down here as the rock bottom, 15.5. We've hit it a couple times on the way up. Every time we hit it, which after major consolidation, giant bull flag here, wicked down to here, which was the 48K right there. And that just so happened to be the previous resistance right there. Boom. Here we break out, we come back up, hit all-time high, we break out, go all the way back up to the top of the channel, which is hitting this blue line here, 108, 109, falling wedge all the way back down to the bottom. And wicks through the blue line, wick through to 74.5, bam, retesting previous all-time high here. We break out, we come all the way back up, we hit some resistance here. What is this? Interesting. What is this right here? That is the 97.5. We break out, we hit all-time high 112, a little bit higher than the previous one. We consolidate, once again, kind of like a little bullish flag. And right here, wicks down to retest this previous resistance right there, boom, before breaking out. And then we get up to a new all-time high, 123, 124, and then 126. Triple top. Interesting because we didn't have much of a pullback on this one. We didn't have much of a pullback on this one. We did pull back down to here, but very different than these where they were big bull flags and then popped out to an upside. This was the only time we broke above this blue line, and we held as support for a minute, bounced and made a higher high, but then came back below it, hit resistance, came support again, went below it, went back through it, made a new high, and came back down way below it. This is the big drop all the way down to 1015. And then we bounced up and hit that blue line as resistance again. So let me just zoom out so you can see it. Drop and then hit it right here as resistance. So now we're back into this overall channel, the blue one, the one that has the blue line at the top and the blue line at the bottom. We're back into that. This blue line at the top goes all the way back to 2021. All-time highs. And then we hit it here, hit it here, hit it here, held the support here, and then resistance again here. And then in the short term, we had this. We had resistance here at 97 and then support. And then we hit these all-time highs. We break the blue line, retest it as resistance, and then we fall below this upward trending support line, which is kind of like a center line coming up in the middle of these two blue lines. And then we wick through it. That was the big drop on the 10th. We bounce all the way up to retest that blue line, and now we're dropping back below this line. So to me, the next support is probably right where this bottom upward trending support and this red line hit. This was the support resistance here and support here, somewhere in this zone right there. Boom, boom. And it just so happens that that connects over here to this line, and we are probably en route to that level. So let's just zoom out and look. Yeah. So what can happen here is that we could continue this before we break out to the upside. So I would say, if I were to guess, every time we were way at the top here, we come back to this line, but here we weren't. We didn't get to the top of that. We came back to the line, but it was a new all-time high. And back here, as we went into the bull market, we hit some highs and came back to that line, hit some highs, didn't do it. We kind of did it here. Hit the high, came back to that line, hit the high, came back to that line. And this could just all be looked at as one big thing here, because we hit the top here. We did not come back to this line. We hit it higher here, higher here, higher here. So this was consecutive higher highs. High 108, 109, 112, 123, 124, 126. Crazy amount of new all-time highs in succession there. So now this is normal consolidation. This is normal pullback after high, after high, after high. Not huge highs, not big run-ups, not parabolic moves to the upside, but nonetheless, new all-time highs back to back. And so to me, it makes sense when looking at these support levels down here is that we broke through the upward trending resistance, which was resistance. We held as support, broke back below that, the blue line. And then we broke this one, which was the 112, the infamous 112 resistance, support, 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 resistance, 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 support, support, resistance, support, support. We broke back through that one. That's this line. And then also we have this upward trending support coming all the way back from 97. 97, support, 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 and then break through that. So there's nothing left below us except for this line here at 98, 97.5, 98, and this upward trending support. So if you put a gun to my head and say, where is it going? I'm going to have to say, somewhere in this range, somewhere in this area right here, guys. Maybe right here before it finally touches. I mean, it could do one of these jobs where it comes down, bounces, comes up, but does not make a higher high, and bounces and bounces until it finally hits this blue line, and then we're off to the races. On the other note, that's the good news. That's the positive news if we're staying in an upward trending bull market. Obviously, if we break this blue line to the downside, that would be the next support at 74.5, 73.8 right here. So right now,
Niko,
yeah, go ahead.
what is the where you drew the little blue circle? What line is that? Where the number is what I'm asking.
It's this resistance and support line at right at the 98K range.
Okay.
Yep. And this blue line is the one that's going all the way back from, you don't have to go back much further than right here, which is the 26.5, 27K range right here.
Niko, can you zoom out? I just want to screenshot, like, I just want to see the whole chart so I can screenshot it and just understand later. Okay, that works. Let me do that. Thank you.
You're welcome. These lines that I have here, guys, these horizontal lines are just where we had resistance and then support. Breakout, resistance, 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 breakout, support. Resistance, breakout, support. Support. That's probably where we're coming to, support. But we also have resistance here. We had support, support, support. We finally broke back below that. So this, we did not stay above this line. I was expecting that if we were staying above this line, that would have been the time to have a parabolic move to the upside. Whenever you break a major resistance line above your head, then that means you broke through the ceiling. This is the ceiling. You break through the ceiling, and that's when that ceiling is no longer ceiling, and you just continue up. But that didn't happen. We did make 3 higher highs, 123, 124.5, 126. But then we fell right back below. We didn't have enough buying pressure to hold above this line. And so technically we were back into this rising wedge, rising apex. So what is the apex? The apex is right here where these two blue lines meet.
Is this the daily chart?
I'm on the daily. Yep. So that's the apex. That's where the two blue lines meet. And we could wind into that. I mean, it could look like this, where we come down and hit this, boom, come up, hit resistance, hit it again, boom, hit the top, hit the bottom, break through finally, and bam, parabolic up to 150, 160, 170. That's what we're hoping for in the rest of this bull market. And if that does not happen, guys, this is one of those cases where don't shoot the messenger. Don't be mad at me. I'm not doom and gloom. I'm not bearish. We are in a bull market. As long as we're above this blue line, we're still bullish. Okay. Everything I mean, you just go back and look here. It's trending up. These lines are all going up, not down. Right? This blue line's going up. This blue line's going up. Now, in the short term, we're on our way down a little bit, but to where? If we balance on this upward trending support, bam, we're still trending up. And we have 2 months in, I don't know, 20 days maybe. Go back and look on the monthly. We got 2 months and 15 days left of this monthly candle. I mean, I'm sorry, the annual candle, the yearly candle on the 12-month time frame. 2 months and 15 days left of this candle. But look at the wick on the top. That just means that the price is coming down, down, down from its all-time high right here of 126. So we've been up. We've been up to 126. And we have 2 months and 15 days left of this candle. So this candle could go up, or it can just come down, 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 down. And then the next candle opens in 2 months and 15 days. And whatever the top of this one was the top of the bull market. Now, I know some of you have heard me say that a dozen times or so, or more, but that's based on historic data. It's not me hoping, it's not me being doom and gloom. It's just me saying, look, if you go back and if you look at the 12-month time frame, the 12-month candles on the chart on TradingView, every one of these bull market tops was the fourth candle. Bull market top, 1, 2, 3, 4. Bull market top, 1, 2, 3, 4. Bull market top, 1, 2, 3, 4. We're in the fourth candle now. We got 2 months and 15 days left. Wherever this finishes, it's not okay. This is where I think there's some confusion. It's not where it finishes that's the top. It's where it was it's the highest point during this whole 12-month cycle, right? So this candle could finish right where it's at. Let's just say 2 months and 15 days go by and the price stays right here at 107K. The next candle will open, and whatever the top was of this one was the top, which in this case would be 126. If that just happened, what I just said. So during the next 2.5 months, it has the potential to go way up or down, right? And that's what we're waiting to see. Right now, it's trending down from 126. So there's some people out there that might think that 126 was the top, but they thought that about 108, 112, 123, 124. We just hit 126. And let's just go back and look at the time frame. We hit 108 in December, a year ago. We hit 109 in January, 8 months ago. We hit 112 in May, 5 months ago. We hit these are the most recent. So we hit 123 in July, 124 in August, and 126 in October. So in a 3-month period, from the end of July to now, we had 3 all-time highs. So that's about the same amount of time left that we have in this bull market. So we could hit 3 more all-time highs. I mean, look at this. We hit 123 and came all the way down to 107. 124, all the way down to 107. We hit 126 and came all the way down to 101. So certainly we could go up to 140, 150, 160 again, because it's happened 3 times just in the last 3 months, where we had huge swings up and then down and up and down again. So So don't be, discouraged on that. Now, I personally don't get discouraged either way, other than the fact that, yes, I mean, it does suck to look at your holding account, your hodling account, and see the values go down. If you're holding for the long term, you're always welcome to move any crypto into USDT at any time to lock in whatever the current price is. The problem with that is, and people ask me all the time, hey, Niko, should I get out now and then buy back in when it dips really low? That sounds good in theory. That sounds like a plan. But the problem with that is you don't know if this is the high and you don't know if it is going to drop down. So you're making assumptions. If you could, in hindsight, yes. If I could know exactly when the top was in and I know that we're going to go down to 79 or whatever this was, 101K, I would have got out here, bought back in here. But you just don't know when that's going to happen. In fact, you could anticipate that, get out here, and then this thing just shoots up another 20 grand and you'll be wishing you didn't get out. So that's why I do both. I trade and hodl. I'm watching my hodling account go up and down in value over time. And if that is your only strategy, that's painful because it takes years for Bitcoin to grow. And it's like watching a plant grow. Nothing's happening while you're watching it. It looks like nothing's happening at all, barely, right? But you look back at it a year later and you can really see the difference that the plant grew from the time you first started looking at it. And how, look at this. I mean, right here, Bitcoin was 50K, and that was 1 year ago. So Bitcoin went to 126 from 50K. That's a, 120% move to the upside in 1 year. And so that could happen again, obviously. But even in just a short period of time, we went from right here, 74.5 in April to 112 in May. In 1 month, we went almost 100% move to the upside. 74 to 1. Actually, if you count, well, this would have been right here, would have been July. So in 3 months, 2.5, 3 months, we went from 74K to 124. Almost double. Almost. So that can happen in a very short period of time, and that can certainly happen again now. We could come down here and then boom, double from 97, 98K if it comes down to that level. And that's an if. Just because I have this line here and I'm showing you that is the next support doesn't mean we're going to hit it. But there is something interesting. There is a CME gap right there that we haven't filled yet. What is the likelihood? Anybody want to answer? What is the likelihood of that getting filled?
Pretty good eventually.
Well, like what are the odds, Bill?
70 to 80% is my
I
understanding.
was going to say 85.
Yeah.
I was going to say 70 to 80%.
Yeah. And that's huge. That's way better than Vegas.
Yeah. So that's why I say we're coming down to that level, guys, because, it's not that I'm a genius. It's not that I have a crystal ball. It's that I take the laws of statistical odds and say, yeah, this is probably what's going to happen.
Are there CME gaps on XRP, or is that just like Bitcoin and ETH?
Have they started trading on the CME XRP? If they have, then there'll be gaps eventually, and those will be opportunities to trade for sure.
I just was curious if it would correlate with Bitcoin's gap.
Sometimes they do. I would assume that since it trades, DeFi Llama says that XRP is trading with Bitcoin something like 79% of the time. So, it'll be a little different. Maybe you'll have independent opportunities every once in a while, but I would watch it.
Yeah, let me show you this, guys. On the CME gap, I have the support coming right about there to there. So I have like the 97.5 to 98K range right there. if I bring that forward, that's kind of where I said that we might be dropping to right now. The CME gap is down here at 91 to 93. So, and this upward trending support on this line, for some reason, on the CME gap, we already broke it. We already broke it. This goes all the way back to 15,500. And maybe we didn't. But if I put this, the reason why I have this line right here through this is because you can see clear support and resistance. And then we wick down to it twice. We hit it here, bam, and we're hitting it. We just went through it. In fact, if I put this even more tighter to where I think it really should be, it looks like we actually hit it here too, bam, and then hit the top and then broke. We hit resistance here, boom, broke through, and I'm sorry, support and resistance. Support right there and resistance right there. So yeah, we could actually go down to 90, 91, 92. So let me go back over here. And so that would be right here. That would be the range underneath. Somewhere in here. In this zone. And it could wick through this line just like it did here. Just to hit it. Boom. And then back above that blue line. Boom, boom. Just like that. And would you even be surprised? Let me just look at this. How many times?
So the
Now-
white channel's the CME, and how do they determine that?
The white what? I'm sorry?
The white channel there that you just lay down is the CME.
Yeah. The CME gap.
So on Friday they close, right? On Friday, the regular traders stop for the day. And then if we run the price up over the weekend or down over the weekend, it generally leaves that hole in their chart. And those holes tend to fill.
Oh, I see. I got you. So
You
it's
see
the
it right-
gap back there in May. Yep.
Yeah. Right around April. So yeah, you can see now there are other gaps and they're clear, like right here. Here's a gap, but that was filled here. Here's a gap that was filled here. There was probably another one somewhere in here. I can't remember where. But it was filled already. And so they tend to always get filled. This one just hasn't. We never went back to this one. This one filled. This one filled. So look at this one. I mean,
Wow. That's pretty cool.
filled.
And over the
I mean-
last year, they've tended to hit the Fibonacci 50 on Bitcoin, especially. So that was, I made, I don't know, something like 1,035%. And then I made something like 1,100% the last two times they filled in when they were low like that. So it pays. Those things pay.
This one right here, guys, is very similar to the one we're anticipating right now. This was when we went up to 108, double topped at 109 and dropped all the way down. And we went right through this down to 74.5. And it's not just filling the CME gap that was important. Let's just look at where it wicked down to. In addition to filling that gap, it wicked right down to this previous resistance, but that resistance is this previous all-time high. It's happened so often, guys, it's hard to ignore. It's just the way it is. Okay, so you have to just, and that's why, all of these, when we do this and we don't come back to it, it's almost like a matter of time.
So would you put a a midterm short on that and then like a long-term long on the CME gap?
I mean, I am short. I already gave a short signal. Go back to here. I'm up $2,000 on these shorts. And I was up $3,000 this morning, but it dropped. I mean, it pulled back up a little bit. Let's go on the lower time frame and look. So this was the pullback. We did have a little bit of a dip, but what's it pulling back to? Just resistance. What previous support, breakthrough, resistance. Yeah, that right there going into the weekend. Look at that long wick up. If we don't get back above that, chances are it's just going to drop further. We're going to have some resistance right here. I mean, some support right here once we wick down to that previous dip, which was the big drop the other day on the 10th, down to 102, 1015. It's going to hit that, probably bounce, but then, you know, we might see some lower lows all the way down to this blue line and this red line. So this is the CME gap right here, this white one. We could certainly get down to that fast, boom, boom, and then back up. The sooner it does it, the safer or the better for the bull run, because the sooner it does it, the more likely it will stay above this blue line. But if it doesn't do it until way over here, it's going to break that blue line. And then we run the risk of having some resistance underneath that blue line and not being able to get back above it. But I would say that if we drop sooner rather than later, we can hit the blue line and fill the gap, bounce back out. This would, yes. So to answer your question, I am short in the short term, and I will go long here once it hits that blue line or the CME gap, one or the other.
Can
So you
you
would
look
put
at
an
the
order in.
XRP chart for
Yeah.
CME gap?
I don't worry about the CME gap on XRP. It's on Bitcoin, and XRP is correlating with Bitcoin. So I just, I trade everything else based on what Bitcoin's doing right now. Until there's a decoupling, until XRP or Ethereum or any of these other altcoins decouple from Bitcoin, they pretty much do the same thing as Bitcoin. So let's look at just look at XRP. It looks almost identical to Bitcoin right now. Everything. We did have a little bit of a pullback, but it's still downward trending. And what did it come up to? It came up to resistance. Right here. We had support, resistance on this red line right there. And down we're below that. We're below that previous support. This is after the big drop all the way down to $1.26 on XRP. Look at that. $3.5 billion inflow coming back in to pull it right back up. Guys, a lot of money came back in on that dip and then brought it back up to this level of support and stability. Bounced, did not make a higher high, continued with the lower lows, gets back down in a wedge, in an apex, and then breaks through to the downside. So there's more downward trending to go, as far as I'm concerned. Could we see, if Bitcoin goes down to the CME gap, where can XRP go?
180.
Yeah, at the worst, in the early stages, probably right here to 210. I'm going to put a line there just to show that we will probably hit resistance there. And this could be another whole wedge apex that we're going to come into. But if we break that, yeah, if we break that. And I know that's scary. It's like, oh, what's happening? Are we going into a bear market? Oh, shit, is it over? Should I have got out at $3.80 and then bought back in? In hindsight, it will be easy to answer those questions. But just like this, we don't know that when this happens, bam, how fast is it going to pull out and recover? The reason why you know that something's not the bottom is because it's still there. Remember what I just said. The way you know that we're not at a bottom or a top is because we're still there. When it's a bottom, you don't have time to buy in. Look at this. Bam, bounces right back out. It never stays there. But when it's staying somewhere and is just hovering around this level, it's not the bottom yet. Until we break out of downward resistance and make a higher high and actually have a trend reversal, which means it would have to do this, have to break out of this. And so instead of having lower highs, lower high, lower high, it would actually have to get above the last high and actually have a higher high, and then higher high, and then higher high, getting above all of these highs. That's a trend reversal. This trend is your friend until the end. This is the end of this trend. And then we have a new trend. Oversimplified explanation, but that's basically.
With a lot of the regulatory acceptance on some of the crypto, as of the last, 3 months or so, do you see that playing into affecting these historical patterns and
Yeah,
just being harder to determine?
What it's causing is confusion because people are like, well, there's been so many catalysts, so many reasons for us to go to a new highs. All of these great things supposedly happening for crypto, the banks, the president, the Genius Act, everything seems to be heading towards, digital currency and crypto and acceptance and world dominance and, mainstream acceptance and, all of this, right? And then you're wondering, well, why is the price going down? How could this be? And that's what shakes out the weak hands. That's where people get confused and they don't understand and they give up and they get tired. So it is market manipulation. The powers that be now know that they're going forward with big things in crypto. And do you think they want to buy in billions of dollars higher than they could if they just cause some chaos in the markets first? I mean, if you had $10 billion to deploy, would you rather buy Bitcoin at $126,000 or at 79,000? You know the difference between 79 or 80,000 and 126,000 is tens of billions, if not hundreds of billions of dollars in profit once it gets up to $1 million. So they're not stupid. Now, do they care if you get rich along with them? Because you getting rich is not really rich to them. You making 10 million or $20 million in the next couple of years on the big pump to the upside, that's great for you as an individual, but that's chump change to them. So I don't know if they know that some people are going to benefit from crypto, and I don't think they really care. When I say they, I just mean the powers that be, the BlackRocks of the world, the governments and the billionaires who are pulling the strings behind the scenes. Some people are going to make it. Some people are going to survive it. Some people are going to ride the wave. Some people are going to get drowned and wiped out. They're expecting the majority to lose while they take your lunch money. And then the buyback in for you when XRP is $100 or $250 is going to be much more difficult. $250 you're going to have to spend to buy one XRP, when right now you can buy 100 XRP for $250. Just like, remember when Bitcoin was $13. You could have bought 100 of them. Imagine if you just did. And now you're lucky if you can buy one or 1/10 of one.
Hey, Nico.
Yes, sir.
Hey, the other day I asked a question about the BTC filling in the wick, and we said not necessarily does it have to do that. I see that it is in the process of filling in that wick. So why would we not think that the other altcoins would fill in their wicks?
They very well could, especially if Bitcoin goes down. It's, it's not that they can't or won't or don't. It's that it's a matter of when will they. Would this be the bottom of XRP? Would this be the lowest price that it ever gets to, and then it never comes back to it? Or are we going to double bottom down here and hit it again, maybe even a little lower, and then bounce out? But yeah, that's a great question. I can probably go back. Let me just go back and look on a higher time frame and see if I can find any that didn't, like this one right here. Boom. We didn't right away. We came down close. This is kind of like where we're at right now in XRP. We did this and we bounced. I mean, let's just look at this. We bounced and went up and did not make a higher high. We bounced and went up and did not make a higher high. We come down and we come down almost, but not quite. That would be like us coming down right to about here. Maybe to that line I just said. And then we shoot up, bam, way up higher than where we just went up here, way up higher, but maybe just to here. Back up to 290. That's what happened here. Boom, way back up. And then we dropped down. It's again lower, and then a lower high again, and then we came down lower than this. And then it broke out and then made a new high. So that might have to happen first, what you just said. We might have to come down. Maybe we'll pump up before then and then come back down again over here. It may not happen right here. Same with Bitcoin. Let's go look at Bitcoin. That's why I had this way over here, because we could come down, hit the 1025 and bounce, and then come all the way back up and hit the top of this first before coming down and hitting this line. Possible. It just seems more likely to happen now, seeing that we're below all of these support levels and holding them as resistance. And we're already on our way to, I mean, look at this wick right here. It almost, I mean, it came down to 1035 last night. Or was that this morning? XRP
That was this morning.
Yeah, this morning, 9:41 a.m. Wick down to 2035. Still in my short. XRP dropped to 219. That could be the double bottom right there. Maybe it's time to climb out. Let's see. I mean, it's not moving fast, so therefore I'm thinking that it's not the bottom. Remember what I said. If it's hovering, if it's not out of there quick, chances are that wasn't the bottom. But we do have a little W forming. We are climbing, but it did hit resistance right here. So let's look at this. We have downward trending support. Boom, 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 boom. Breakthrough, resistance. It does look like a little W though, which could mean, let's just see if we hold support at the top of that W. But what would that bring us to? Right back up to that line. Continuation of the downward trending resistance. And then possibly lower after that. We would need to break through.
That fit perfectly.
Yeah, it seems to always do that. So, I'm hesitant whether I want to scalp profit right now and just take it and wait or just hold it. Because if we do come all the way back up to this level, I do have a stop loss in profit here, but it's certainly nowhere near the amount of profit I would have if I just close this out right now. But I'm hesitant. Now, if I see it get back above this downward trending support line, if it gets above that, then I'll probably just take the profit on this, close it out, and wait for the next setup, which would be up here, maybe another short on the way down. But there will come a time, just like what happened back in, when we were hitting that 74.5, Chad gave the long, we did break out of that falling wedge, and this could be something very similar here. I say that this would come down even further, probably to this level. Even if we get back above this right here and hit that, we could see a further dropping down to this level, 102, 105, maybe a wick down to that CME gap. I would say if we get that close, we'll probably hit it, but it doesn't have to hit it right now. It can do this, guys. It could just bounce here, climb out of this, hold a support, get back up to here, hit that resistance, come back down, and do it later. We've seen that happen as well. But the trend, you can't try to imagination, use your imagination or imaginate. Imagine is the word actually, but
Hey, Niko, would it have to hit that CME gap this year, or can it hit it next year?
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. It doesn't have to this year, and it doesn't have to ever, but the odds are that it will, but it could be in the next bear market. I said, first of all, we never retested 30K. When we broke out of 30K, we never retested that. Let me go to a higher time frame and show you what I mean. And I was saying back in all year long, for the last 2 years, I was saying we'll probably come back and retest 30K, but we never did. Here's 30K. Major resistance and previous resistance and support going all the way back to the last bull market run up, support 30K, new all-time high, all the way back down, support, new all-time high, support, breakthrough, resistance, bull, bear market, bottom, coming back up, resistance, breakthrough, never retested. Very unusual market structure. So even somewhere up in here, I was saying we'll probably come back and retest 30K. We didn't do it here. Somewhere up in here, I was saying we could, if we broke this line, we could come back and retest 30K. We didn't do it there. And it also could happen in the next bear market cycle. Why would it after getting this high? Well, I mean, we did go from $3,500 up to $68,000 and then all the way back to 15.5. So if we just double the 68,000, times 2, that's 136K. We double that and we get to 136K. If we did fall in the next bear market down to 30K, that would be double the previous low, double the previous high, double the previous low. Would that make sense? I'm not saying that we're going to go to 30K after being this high in the next bear market, but is it possible? I would say probably in this range. That CME gap somewhere, but that's up here. But I would say probably in the 74.5 range once again, if I were to guess, in a bear market bottom. And that's no matter how high we get in this bull run. That would make sense to me. But yeah, that's a good point you bring up. It doesn't have to be right now. I just figure that when we get so close to it, if we go back to the CME and you look at some of these other times, look at this gap here. We gapped in November of 2024. We didn't fill it until February, March of 2025. Took about 4 months. So here's the gap. April of 2025. We're 6 months in right now, and we're breaking the upward trending support on our way down to it. But that doesn't mean we're going to go all the way to it. This one right here, we filled pretty quickly. There was another one someone brought to my attention earlier, but I don't see it here.
Sometimes you can't see them unless you're on the lower time frames, 4 hour, 2 hour, 1 hour.
Maybe that was it right here. Which we filled just recently. Yeah, there it is. But there is no questioning, guys. We are in downward trending pattern right now. Let's look at some other ones. Let's look at Ethereum. Ethereum's man, we had a very similar situation. Broke through the upward trending support, resistance, 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 broke back above it, hit it again here. Support, wicked all the way down on that big dump on the 10th, came all the way back above it, and then fell back below. Not making a higher high, which means we could see a lower low coming. And if we look at this as like a falling wedge, could be bullish, but not until there's a couple areas back here. If I take this line, this yellow line, and move it to the bottom of these wicks here instead, we're hitting that now. It's possible that that is the support, not where I had it before. Boom, 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 Boom. And we're still in upward trending support, coming into a falling wedge. We could wick down, retest this resistance, bounce right back. I mean, the support, and bounce right back out into new all-time highs again. Now this up here, anybody know what this is called? 1, 2, 3, 4, like that.
It almost looks like a Bart Simpson.
I thought you were gonna say that, Bill.
It does.
Yeah, I think there's a more official name to it, but is that what they call it these days?
There is if you look it up, there is a Bart Simpson pattern. It's very
That's
similar
funny.
to it.
I think it's called the
So,
crown or something like that, or
so he's the guy that's controlling everything.
yeah.
Right.
Simpsons, whoever's writing that, they're predicting everything, right? It seems like.
They're programming it. It's called inceptive programming. People think it's them predicting the future. It's not. It's them implanting the idea in our subconscious minds, and then we make it real for them. They know exactly how our minds work.
Yeah.
Kind of like predictive programming in movies,
Yeah.
stuff like that. Yeah.
Inception. Think of the movie Inception, where they plant the idea in the mind. That's what it's inceptive programming. It's not predictive. Predictive infers that they have some idea of what's actually going to happen. The only reason they have some idea of what's actually going to happen is because they put it into our consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that's why negative thinking and positive thinking, there was a study done. What is better? What is better for you to think more positive or for you to think less negative? What would be more productive for you? Think more positive or think less negative? Anybody?
I would start with less negative because it's probably the easier of the two. But what's the science?
Yeah, that's what they're saying. They're saying that you're better off if you just reduce the amount of negativity. You don't have to think more positively. You just reduce the amount of negativity. But then, there's a lot of people out there that you ever notice these people when you go up and say, "Hey, how you doing? I haven't seen you in a long time." "Oh man, not so good. I had to have knee surgery, and the other day my got divorced, and my wife has taken everything." There's those people who never have anything good to say. They're just Debbie Downers. No offense to any Debbies on here, but nice. And it's always something, right? You're almost scared to even ask because it's going to be full of negatives, right? And then their life reflects it. Their life is a mess. And are they negative because their life is a mess? Or are they creating their life because of their negativity? Is it because they're never looking on the bright side of anything? It's all dark.
I think that actually that could go either way, because if you're thinking less negative, then positivity will automatically come. And if you're thinking more positive, then negativity will drop.
Yes. There's an old parable. I don't know if I said that right.
Parable, yes.
Yeah, parable. And it's basically, and it's not another religious or anything like that, but two rabbis are walking down, a rabbi's walking down the street, and he comes across two poor farmers, basically, that he stops and says hi to, and he says, "Hey there, how goes it?" And the first farmer says, "Oh, Rabbi, life is miserable. Nothing that I plant grows. My crops are dead. I have no food for the family. The kids are always fighting and arguing. And the wife, she's not happy. I think she's going to leave me." And God, in his infinite wisdom, listening in on this conversation, says, "Oh, you think your life is miserable now? I'll show you miserable, you ungrateful slout," as if God would say that. And then, but no one else hears that. But the rabbi says to the other guy, "How about you, Joseph?" And Joseph says, "Oh, Rabbi, my life is just fantastic. I have a loving wife and loving children, and our crops are doing great, and everything's just going beautiful. It's a beautiful day out, and I'm certainly enjoying this walk. How about you?" And God, listening to this conversation, says, "Oh, you think your life is great now? I'll show you what great is." And so, even whether these stories are based on truth or not, I can't help but think that, and I try to live my life this way, is that no matter what happens, good or bad, generally speaking, bad. If anything bad happens in my life, I don't look at it as bad. I look at it as probably in my best interest. So even if it's something that I really wanted and it didn't work out my way, I tend to just think, okay, well, meant to be probably in my better interest that it didn't work out. But that's not what most people do. Most people get very upset when things don't go their way. People are, depressed. They get upset about everything. And so far, they're permeating this energy outward into the universe, which is bringing back that vibe. In other words, whatever they're asking for emotionally is being delivered. And they must say, well, I didn't ask for this. I didn't ask for this. Well, you kind of did. You just didn't know it. You didn't verbally say, give me torture, give me poverty, give me troubles. You didn't say that out loud, but your energy is saying, this sucks. My life sucks. This is so hard. And basically what you're saying to the universe when you do that is, give me more of this. This is what I'm asking for. And it's very hard and very counterintuitive to say that life is great when it really is hard and sucks. When actually, and when you talk to somebody who lives like that, and you talk to somebody who is going through hard times, and you talk to somebody who is negative, and you bring it to their attention, they get very defensive and they go, well, what do you expect? I mean, how am I supposed to be positive when everything seems to be going against me? I say, you see what you just said right there? You just said everything's going against you. But it is. Okay, well, you see what you just said right there? You just said it is. You just confirmed it negative. You just confirmed that that's the way it is. And you're just going to ask for more. How am I supposed to say it's going great when it's not? You see what you just did right there? Like, you can catch them one right after another doing what it is that they're claiming they're not doing. And it's very difficult to see it when it's you doing it. It's very difficult, but you can see it in other people all the time. And yeah, in order to switch that, in order to change that, in order to get the energy to provide you something better, you have to live in your mind as if it's better already prior to it actually happening. You actually have to change the way you think despite the reality, whatever the imagined reality is, because reality can change in an instant. And, if things are tough and you walking and you're just saying to yourself while you're praying to God, life is amazing. Thank you for everything. Thank you for all the blessings. Just don't make my life easier. Just give me the strength to handle the toughness, that kind of thing. It's very hard to say that when things are going against you. It's hard to believe that and think that way. But that's kind of what you have to do. You have to literally put different energy out. And unfortunately, I mean, I'm a very big proponent of the law of attraction, only because I've really proven it in my own life over and over and over again, to the point where now I just smile sometimes when things happen. People don't even know what I'm smiling about. I just can't even believe it that, I've manifested certain things literally out of thin air just because of the way I think, good or bad, guys. And I don't even know if there is anything good or bad. It just is what it is. And now there's another parable where, a guy is running his horse ranch, and his son is out trying to train a horse, trying to break a horse, a wild horse, and the horse kicks him and breaks his leg and jumps over the gate and runs away. So the neighbor comes over and says, oh, such bad luck you have with your son. You not only got a broken leg, but the horse ran away. So bad, so terrible. And the owner says, maybe so, maybe not. The next day, the horse that ran away comes back with 100 more wild horses, and they all just walk right into the corral. And then the owner closes the gate, and now they have 100 more horses. The neighbor comes over and says, oh my God, what good luck you have. Your horse came back and brought more. Maybe not. The next day after that, the military sergeant comes knocking on door to door because they are getting ready to go to war, and they're trying to get all able-bodied young men to enlist in the war coming up, most likely to never come back. And they knock on this guy's door, and they see that the son has a broken leg because he was kicked by the horse. And they says, well, sorry, we can't take your son. He's got a broken leg. The neighbor comes over and says, oh my God, how fortunate you are that your son my son has to go to war. Your son has a broken leg and he gets to stay home. How lucky? Maybe so, maybe not. And what is the moral? The moral is, guys, we don't really know on a day-to-day basis what's good and what's bad. What you think is something bad happening to us could be the greatest thing that ever happened to you. You just don't know it yet. So try to always be happy about everything. I know this isn't, this isn't me day trading and showing you how to scalp the market, but hopefully that the other little things that we talk about here can help you get through hard times better. And maybe it'll be worth it to hear what I just said. Hopefully that was helpful to somebody. But when I hear stories like that, it almost brings a tear to my eye because holy shit, that's true. How many of you have had experiences in your life that you thought was devastating? It was it was the end. You didn't know what you're going to do and you didn't know how to get out of it. And all of a sudden it turns out that was a miracle in disguise.
Sometimes Bill brings up hyper-sigilization. I think that's related to this.
Yeah, that's where you write your story because you're the hero. You're the hero on the hero's journey. You should read the Hero with 1,000 Faces by Joseph Campbell to really get a good idea of it. And there's a comic book writer named, oh Christ, what is his name? Grant Morrison. And Grant Morrison talks about what he calls hyper-sigilization. He's a very famous comic book artist. He wrote his hero losing his hair. Then he lost his hair. Then he wrote his hero getting a cool leather jacket, and he was gifted the cool leather jacket by someone who didn't read the comic book. And then he's like, I'm going to try this on purpose to see how it works. He drew his character getting a beautiful girlfriend. He started to see that woman everywhere in his life, and he married her. So it's one of the proper forms of prayer is to write things down, to draw pictures, to make pictures in your imagination. It's power, and you guys have it.
Yeah. Yeah. And guys, listen, if you join this group, I know there's a lot of new people in here too. If you join this group, hey, I just want to learn how to make money, man. I don't need all this philosophy. Just listen and learn because you do need the philosophy. And the fact that if you even think that, then all the more reason why you do and you don't realize it. Because what are we here for in the first place? What is life all about? Is it just to make money? Because at the end, we die, right? That's an inevitability. At the beginning of every Wikipedia page, it starts off, this person was born on such and such date. And then it always ends the same. This person died on such and such date. What happens in between is life, right? The space between the beginning and the end is your life. And it doesn't matter what you accumulate, doesn't matter what you have, doesn't matter how much money you had, how many cars you had, what you had, all that stuff. That's all going to go to someone else. It's all going to be over. Now, that sounds depressing almost to think about it like that. But the truth is that this whole space in between, we can either live miserably or we can create the most magical and special time in our mind, in our life. And by the way, I say in our mind because your whole life is in your head. Nothing happens to you externally from inside your brain, inside between your two ears. Everything that you see, everything you experience, the conversations you have is all happening. The only thing you know about all of that is in your head. No one else is experiencing what you are. So since you have to live in your head and you have to live with all of this and everything that happens, good or bad, you have a choice. Are you going to be miserable about it? Or are you going to try to make the most of it, enjoy it, and look at it as a game? Look at it as just, this is an experience. Guys, death, a lot of people think life is short, but death is a long time, much longer. As far as you know, we don't know. Where were you before you were born? I don't know.
Yeah, the kingdom is within, brother. The kingdom is within, man. That's
it is.
That's good stuff. And when you say that guys are seeing this and they don't want to see, they want to see trading, they need to hear this, brother.
Thank you,
this is where it's at, man. I love when you're on this stuff.
Thank you, buddy. I appreciate it. I mean, we're trading, but I mean, when nothing's really happening at the moment, so we can talk about other things. But and I know you guys want to learn, and we have onboarding coming up at 2:00, and we have basics calls on Wednesday for brand new people, and we have all the training material, the step-by-step tutorials. But once we get into it, guys, I mean, I am already short. We're already in trades right now, and we're in profit. I'm up a couple $1,000s on these trades. But while we're doing, and this is the good thing about what we do, guys, we can make money while we philosophize. and we can talk about things that actually are probably even more important. It's not, again, the money that you make or how wealthy you get. I mean, that is important, don't get me wrong, but how you react to it and how are you living your life in the process of making it? Because that is life. It's not an event that's going to happen. We look at people's success as events, right? We look at everything as an event. Like we see the young basketball star get a scholarship or get a $100 million contract, and we say, oh, he's so lucky. But we don't see the process. We didn't see that he was, being forced to go to practice by his parents. He was not allowed to go out and hang out with his friends on the street. He was prevented from getting involved in gangs and drugs. And so he couldn't hang out with the normal friends growing up. He wasn't out on the streets. He was working hard. His parents were very strict, keeping him in school and keeping him at practice all the time. And 10 years go by and he gets a multi-million-dollar contract. People think he's lucky. No, he went through a process, and no one cares about the process. No one cares about your process. No one cares about his process. They see the result. They see the reward. They see the outcome. They see the event, the big money event. And that's what everybody wants. They want that big money event, but they don't want the process leading up to it. Nobody wants to do the work. Everybody wants the easy button. But it's those people who do the work and go through the process that get the results, that get the reward, that get the outcome, the event. And so just know your events are coming, but you have to go through the process first. And so since you know that, and since we've deduced it down to, okay, I got to go through this process, then you now have to choose, are you going to be happy during this process, or are you going to be upset and miserable? Are you going to be pissed off every time you lose a few dollars on a short, or Niko's stop loss got hit? Or are you going to just smile and say, okay, it's part of the process? Because you have a choice whether you're going to be affected by it emotionally or not. I'm not in your brain feeling the pain for you. I got my own emotions to deal with. But you could be the kind of person that wakes up in the morning and say, oh, shit, I got to go to work today. Oh, shit, I got to take the kids to school. Or you could be the person that says, you wake up in the morning, you're like, oh my God, I'm still here. I get to go to work today. I get to take the kids to school. It's really
Hey,
just
Niko.
really attitude is all it is. Go ahead.
Niko, with failures, let's call them failures, not successes. Every very successful person I've heard from learned more from their failures than they did from their successes. And if you have a loss in this regard, you have a loss in trading. If you don't learn from it, then you didn't grow. So losing isn't the problem, isn't the big issue. It's not learning from your loss and growing as a person. In this regard, for us, it'd be learning as a trader. If you don't learn from those mistakes, you're not going to become a better trader. And it's the same thing with life. All your everything that you've experienced in life has made you who you are today. More of that is developed from your failures, let's say, your shortcomings or trip ups, than from your successes. And not learning from it is the big mistake. The big mistake isn't having a failure. The big mistake is not learning from it so you can grow.
Absolutely right. Thank you, Norman. Appreciate that. And that's so true. I can admit to that. I can attest to that. And I'm sure everybody can as well, is that, you hit the $1 million in your bank account and you're like, you're not even that excited because you worked so hard and you saw it growing. You got there. It's not like you look at it and say, holy shit, I've been dreaming of this for my whole life. Let's go celebrate. My ex-girlfriend used to celebrate once. She wanted to celebrate all my little wins. Oh my God, you did that. Okay, let's go celebrate. I thought it was cute, but I didn't feel like celebrating because I wasn't close to done. To me, it wasn't that big of an accomplishment because it's like watching that plant grow over time. It finally got to that level, but I knew what I was doing to make it there. And it was all the failures, like Norman just said, it's all the losses. It's all that calluses you over and makes you numb to the wins when they happen. Everyone else sees it. Everyone else sees your wins and they want to celebrate. They're like amazed, or they're resentful or jealous, but they're one or the other. But you had to go through that process to get there. And so anyway, Robert, failure is success in progress, Albert Einstein. there's a lot of things, guys. There's a lot of wisdom out there in the world. Evolve says, Pastor Bill does the work of 25 people. When can we take Pastor Bill's signals? Bill Cook.
Well,
Soon.
I build tools that give you signals because a signal in my mind is an opportunity to go and draw up structure on your chart to see if there's a trade ready to happen. And you can find my signals posted in the Trading View Indicators section. That's the most responsibility I want. Niko and Chad are much better at giving signals than I am.
I don't know. I don't know. You got a good win rate there. Yeah, you're welcome to put them in the we might just have to make a separate channel for you, Bill. We might just have to do that. The people have spoken.
That's hilarious.
So yeah, guys. So anyway, as you can see here, we do got a crown of thorns up here. We broke some major support here. We're back below it here. We're bouncing on the upward trending support here. This is Ethereum, by the way. But as you can see, it looks very similar to Bitcoin. So if we go back to, oh, there's another one I wanted to show you, which was Litecoin, which I normally don't talk about very much. What is Litecoin's name? I can't remember.
LTC.
LTC. What the hell is it? Oh, there's. Litecoin could be huge someday. Like Litecoin could be getting up there with the Ethereums and the Bitcoins. It could eventually get up there into the hundreds of dollars again. I mean, it was $147 here back in 2024, and I believe that it even got much higher than that at one point. This chart doesn't go back that far, but we do have somewhat of some upward trending support here. And we could come down for double bottom as we're doing with everything else right now. And we could have possible downward trending resistance here. To me, giant apex wedge. I would just keep an eye on it, guys, because obviously when we bounce down here would be a good time to go long on on LTC. We did have a nice trade a couple weeks ago on LTC. Made some profit on it. Then I closed those trades out. Let's go back and look real quick because I can't remember what it was exactly. Closed all my positions. LTC. And I wasn't up that much. Up 50% on that trade. But yeah, I mean, it's following suit, it's correlating, but with the rest of them. But as you can see, it's coming down right now. And so we could see a bounce here. This would be a good level to keep an eye on down here at the 60, I don't know, 68 to $70 range. And you might want to accumulate some of these too. You might want to buy and hold as well. LTC. LTC is being used for something. I can't remember what it is off the top of my head. If anybody knows. But
it's a
Yeah, they're used for payments.
Yeah. Say again. Go ahead.
They were used for payments. I was a large LTC holder early, and then it hit up to 435. I doubled down and lost quite a bit.
The thing that bothers me about Litecoin lately is Charlie Lee came out recently and said buy Bitcoin.
Yeah, he did.
That was interesting to me.
I
always
why.
like. I don't know what his deal is. Steve just said, have you heard that Charlie Lee, founder of Litecoin, is the original creator of Bitcoin too? That was a conspiracy that I had not heard. That's interesting.
Yeah. Along with Brad Garlinghouse and a few other people probably. Elon Musk. Who knows? Who was that just talking a minute ago? Chris?
Yeah, that's Christian. How are you, Niko?
How you been, man? Haven't seen you in a while. How you doing?
Yeah. Yeah, I've been here. I kind of took a little bit of a break, having babies, trying to build some real estate portfolios and, trying to get back to where I was, back in 2020, 2021.
Yeah, I know how that goes, man. Now, guys, real estate, we're between now and probably the end of 2026, you're going to see probably prices come down even more. It's a bottom. This is where people get scared and get shooken out, and that's when the investors. I mean, I've been buying, a lot lately, but you got to buy distressed properties from distressed sellers. They take the most work, they take the most money to get back up, but that's where the biggest profit is. But mark my words, 2027, 2028, 2029, 2030, it'll be another boom. We'll be refinancing these properties for ridiculous money at that point. So don't be scared to invest in real estate too from now over the next year or so.
Yeah, absolutely. I purchased in 2020 in on Long Island in Nassau County for 600, and we just got reevaluated on the property. It's 1.1 right now, and all the houses around me that are being dormant are like 1.3. So it's pretty wild.
Yeah, I forgot you were up there, and that's not even a good easy area to invest in. But yeah, good for you. I mean, property values go up everywhere. You just got more governmental bullshit to deal with over there. State bullshit.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we just came back from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and I purchased a property for $55,000. We actually had the owner give us a $10,000 check to close on it because of hard money, and kind of got scammed by a contractor over there for like 50 grand. So we've been doing all of the major renovations ourselves.
No, that sucks. That sucks. We're buying a lot of properties in the Philly, West Virginia area right now, and Ohio and Oklahoma area. A lot of demand. I mean, you could buy a 50-unit apartment complex for the price of a waterfront house here in Palm Harbor, Florida. So it's ridiculous what you get. You got $1,000 a month rents. I mean, imagine, guys, you buy a $1.5 million house on the water here in Florida, luxury. It's not even luxury. It's just a regular house on the water. It's not even that great. But that's what it costs. And you immediately start paying mortgage payments, right? You got all this overhead and expenses, you got taxes, insurance, and everything, and you're probably spending on $1.5 million, you place $10,000 a month in expense. You buy a 50-unit apartment complex in West Virginia for $1.5 million. It needs about $300,000 worth of work to get it stabilized. You got 1.8 into it when it's done. You get it reappraised for 4.7 million when it's stabilized. You refinance it for 80% of the market value, which is 3.2 million. You pay off the first 1.8, get your money back, and put another 1.5 million in your pocket, tax-free cash, and the thing's spitting out 50 grand a month in gross revenue. After all expenses, overhead, and the new mortgage, you're netting 25 grand a month forever and ever for the rest of your life, as long as you own it. And then you keep increasing the rents $100 per year, or every per year after that, and you take $100 rental increase times 50 units. That's what is that? That's $5,000 a month, right? 100 times 50 every year. That's $5,000 a month in rental income. Multiply that by 12 months. That's $60,000 a year. Multiply that by 10 cap. That's 600 grand a year in increased value that you keep increasing the value of your property every year just from raising the rents. This is how you get rich in real estate. And my point is that you can have a house costing you 10 grand a month, or have a building like that paying you 20 grand a month in net income. By the way, that rental income, that net 20, can pay my rent on a house twice as nice as the one I just mentioned. I don't have to ever buy it. I could just live there in a nice mansion on the water, $2.5 million one, and have my rent income from the 50-unit apartment complex pay that rent for me and live for free. Or I could just live in a normal house and put a lot of cash in my pocket. Reason I'm saying all this, guys, is because you can make money trading, you can make money doing a lot of different things, but it's what you do with the money that is going to get you rich. You either spend it on bullshit, fun, toys, travel. Nothing wrong with that. Those are memories. But if you can just sacrifice a little bit, this is part of the process we were talking about earlier, to get to that point where you have a certain amount of passive income coming in, a certain amount of liquid, or a certain amount of wealth built up to where you can do whatever you want for the rest of your life. That's the process. That's the pain that you go through to get to that event. And most people are just not willing to do it. That's why we have the 1%. The 1%, most of the 1%, not all of them. Some of them inherit it. Some of them don't do shit. They just get money handed to them on a silver platter. But most of the people in the 1% range are just doing things that 99% of the people aren't willing to do. Just like 1% of the people walk around with washboard abs. Very difficult to do. You got to spend a lot of time in the gym. You got to watch what you eat. You got to be very disciplined. 1% of the people do that. So that's just the way everything is in life, guys. If you really want to be elite, you want to look elite and have a perfect body, you got to do what 99% of people aren't willing to do. You want to have all the wealth, you want to have the nice house, the nice cars, boats, great family, travel, all the luxuries, you got to do what 99% of the people are not willing to do. Harsh asked, Niko, is there any group of investors you work with or individually? I tried to have the least amount of people involved in the deals that we do. I don't like syndications personally. I don't like to have a bunch of people involved, more chefs in the kitchen, more people to answer to. Everybody has different goals. So I have, I started buying with just one other person, and I was pretty much putting the money up. I was mostly the money guy, but he was bringing the deals. He was negotiating the deals. He was doing all the work, and then he was managing the managers. And now, in order for us to grow, we had to bring in a third person, which was my ex-business partner, who I had the call center business with years ago. And he makes a lot of money in his business, and so that cut my upfront costs in half, and I only had to give up 17% ownership of the properties, because now we have 3 people involved, so it's 33%, and I only have to come up with 50% of the money now instead of all the money. So that helps. So I would say 2 or 3 people max. People that you trust, people that you know well, people who have the same goal. They don't want to sell the properties right away. They want to keep them long term. We're just going to fix them up, bring them to fully occupied, stabilize, and then refinance and pull all that equity out tax free, and then just let it grow and continue to do that over and over and over again. And so that's my way of doing it. There are investor groups out there. I can Harsh, send me a DM. And anybody who's interested, I will send you information on actually one of my partners, investor groups that he has, and he teaches people how to do what he does. And what he does is pretty amazing, guys. He finds deals that are the unicorn deals, the kind of deals that allow you to take over someone's first, and they just want out. They're not good managers. They weren't good owners. They didn't do anything to improve it. They haven't raised the rents in a long time. They're distressed. These are the kind of deals you want to take over for very little upfront money. And then you improve them, you fix them up, you get them rented, and you get them stabilized. And then you just get it reappraised later and refinance it, pull all that money back out, and still own it forever and let the tenants pay off the new debt. And just repeat that process. If you have the brain space, the time, and the energy to do that. It's not everybody's interested in real estate or doing that kind of stuff. But a lot of people say, I don't want to be a landlord because I don't want to fix toilets. I don't want to be a landlord. I don't want to get those calls in the middle of the night. Well, first of all, I have over 300 units of apartments, never fixed a toilet, not even my own, and never talked to any of the tenants. So there's a right way and a wrong way to do this business. I have property managers that run all that stuff. If someone has a toilet problem, they call the property manager, and guess what the property manager does? They don't call me, they call the plumber. I just get the bill for it deducted from the rents. But listen, it's pretty easy when you do it right. It's not easy. I shouldn't say it's easy. Everything's hard, guys. Nothing good is easy. Everything takes a little time and energy, but we can make it look easy when you have it all set up properly. All right, guys. Any other questions? It's 1:33. We got very little movement going on. I'm going to come back to the chart here. Let's go to BTC. We are in trades. We are short still, and it's just a matter of time before we get a bounce. And but we're at 106K for Bitcoin, guys. 106. That's $20,000 lower than where it was 2 weeks ago. And it could certainly be 20,000 higher in the next 2 weeks. But in the short term, I think we're coming down to this support level and this line right here, this upward trending support, possibly wick down to fill the CME gap right here, which would be at the anywhere, I would say anywhere from the 91K to the 97, 98K range. This whole range is in play right now.
Hey, Niko, I think you should start a real estate channel.
Yeah, I actually used to teach wholesaling and house flipping back in the day. And I had a little program, and I was wholesaling houses and flipping houses. And I realized that I was making a huge mistake, even though I was making good money doing it. The guy that I was flipping the houses to, the guy that I was wholesaling the houses to, he was paying me 10, 15,000, sometimes $20,000 for just the contracts. I was just assigning contracts to him. I would get the houses under contract and I would just flip the contract. Quick, easy money, no stress. I don't have to fix the place up. I don't have to deal with tenants. I don't have to do anything. But he was buying them from me pretty regularly, and he was doing the rehabs, fixing them up, putting the money in, and then putting the tenants in, and then refinancing and pulling all his money back out, and then buying the next one from me. And after about, I don't know, 20 deals that I sent to this guy, I asked him how much did he make on some of these properties that he sold? And he says, and he told me, I never sold any of them. And I said, what? And he says, no, I still have them all. I said, all the houses I wholesaled to you kept? And that's when I learned that I was making transactional money, good money, but he was getting rich. And so he was getting wealthy. So yeah, he would buy a house from me. He would buy the contract from me for 20 grand, close on the house for 114 grand. So now he'd had 120, 134 into it, put 50 into it to fix it up. Now he's up to 160. Now it appraises for 320 or 350. He refinances it, pulls all the cash back out, puts a tenant in there and keeps it. Gets all his cash back out and buys it, does it again, over and over again. So now, over the last 10 years, these houses have doubled and tripled in value. And the mortgages are all being paid down by the tenant's rent. So that's how you get rich, guys. You don't ever sell anything of value. This is why I tell you not to sell your crypto, not to sell your Bitcoin, not to sell. Well, what happens when your $10,000 worth of Bitcoin turns into $1 million or $2 million or $3 million worth of Bitcoin? I want to buy a boat. I want to buy a new house. Should I sell it? No, I personally don't think you should ever sell anything of value. It's the goose that's laying the golden eggs. Real estate continues to go up in value mainly because the dollar keeps going down in purchasing power. So rent goes up. Rent never goes down, by the way. Rent never goes down. It only goes up. And when there's inflation, landlords get richer.
And question, Niko, didn't you mention that you could take loans out against your crypto? And
yeah, same thing with real estate. So real estate goes up in value. You refinance it, pull the equity out, tax-free, keep the property, let the tenants pay off the new loan. Crypto, you got $1 million worth of Bitcoin. You want to borrow 400,000, 500,000 in cash. Banks are getting in line to be custodians right now for it. There's banks advertising right now that they will custodian your Bitcoin. What does that mean? That means that you open up a bank account with them. You transfer your Bitcoin to the custodial account. They loan you 400,000, 500,000 cash. They deposit that into your checking account. That's tax-free loan proceeds because you don't pay taxes on loans. So now you have half the money, but you still own the Bitcoin. That's the key. You didn't sell it. And the Bitcoin goes up to $2 million in value, $3 million in value over the next 5 years. You can certainly pay the loan back with the increased value of the asset they're holding as collateral, or you borrow more against it. But what you're doing with that borrowed money is also important. If you invest it in something that's going to produce more cash flow, then you can pay the loan off with the increased value of the asset you're investing the borrowed money with. So it's free money that spins off. It's a flywheel at this point, spinning off more and more free money. And if the shit hits the fan and the real estate market collapses and Bitcoin drops
brilliant
50% in value, guess what? They just collateralize the loan. They sell or take the collateral to pay back the loan, and you walk tax-free with everything that you already got in cash. People worry too much about borrowed money. It's all what you, it's all, yeah, you don't want to over leverage yourself. You don't want to borrow too much, because if there is a 20% dip in the market, you could be screwed, right? So even when you're refinancing a house, if you own a house paid off free and clear, you bought it for 500 grand, now it's worth $1 million and it's free and clear. You don't want to borrow 800,000, 900,000 against it. Borrow 500, borrow 50%. Put it, because you can put a tenant in the $1 million house that will pay enough rent to cover that $500,000 mortgage and the insurance, taxes, and everything. And at least that new loan could be paid off by someone else. But if you borrow 800, 900,000 against it, you're not going to be able to collect that much rent on that house. You're going to have to come out of pocket. Or if you continue to live in it, it's just going to cost you more to pay that loan. So you never want to borrow too much. You don't want to over leverage yourself. But with Bitcoin, if you guys remember back in 2021, Coinbase was loaning up to 60% against your Bitcoin. I'm pretty sure they will start doing it again. But from what I understand, like even Phemex, you can borrow, by the way, on Phemex. I don't know if you guys know this or not, but you can borrow. But it's not going to be 40, 50%. It's probably going to be like 20%, 30%, which is safe. But yeah, all banks will probably become custodians for crypto in the future and in the near future. So just keep stacking, because you will get to that point where, as Michael Saylor says, it's like, imagine if you inherited a whole city block of Manhattan from your great-great-great-grandfather that just was a real estate investor. So you got all this property and it's spitting out hundreds of thousands of dollars a month in passive income, probably more. I mean, would you sell it? Okay, someone offers you $1 billion for the city block. Are you going to sell it? Now, $1 billion, you might say, hey, I can live the rest of my life. Great. I don't need any more money. I don't need to deal with all this real estate. And maybe, but, a fool and their money is soon parting. Not partying, parting. And that's usually what happens when people win the lottery and they come into a large amount of cash. They usually go broke within a few years because they don't understand money. Money is a tool. So rather than sell the city block in Manhattan, you just keep living off the hundreds of thousands of dollars in passive income coming from the rents from all the tenants. And then, and as you increase the rents over the course of every 2 or 3, 5 years, you simply refinance the loans, hopefully at lower interest rates, and pull out the equity tax-free, which is huge sums of money, millions sometimes, going into your personal accounts tax-free that you can live off of and do whatever you want with. And the tenants continue to pay those loans off. And then 5 years down the road, you do it again. And you just keep playing that game. That's what the rich people are doing, guys. And so I'm going to leave you with one more thing here. If you won $100 million in the lottery, if you were fortunate enough to have that happen to you, a lot of people will take a lump sum, of course. Okay, so let's say you do that and you get $50 million after taxes. Most people will go and buy the boats, the cars, the houses, cash, because why not? You can afford it. $5 million for this house. You're going to buy your mom a house. Maybe you got friends coming out of the woodwork wanting money. You give them a couple $100,000 maybe. Now you're down to 38 million. But you buy a couple luxury cars, you're down to 30 million. You can see where this is going. 5, 10 years down the road, you're broke. If you spend like that and you're buying stuff like that. The other way to do it is you put the 50 million that you win into a medium risk, maybe even a low risk yield money market account where you're making 6, 7% per year on your money. Maybe if you're lucky, 8, 9%. But let's just do it at 6%. $50 million times 6% annual yield is $3 million a year and free money for the rest of your life. Now, you go and buy the $10 million house, but you finance it to the hilt. You get a mortgage. You go and lease the Rolls Royces and the Ferraris and the Lambos, lease them. You don't own them. You're not paying cash for them. You just have monthly payments. You get the nice boat. You have a monthly payment. Okay. You got $3 million a year divided by 12 months. That's $250,000 a month coming in. That's enough to pay your mortgage and all your leases and all your bills. So you live like a king, you have everything you want, and every year you get a new car, and every year you can get a new house if you want to, and never spend one dime of your $50 million. Okay. Everything I just said was worth the price you paid to be in this group, guys. If once
You're hired.
once you understand, once you understand this stuff, you just operate differently. Okay. You just need to learn how to use the money to your benefit rather than spend it. It's just a tool. Yes, it can buy you fun things, but those fun things, the fun disappears quickly from the fun things, and you still have the debt.
Thanks for mentoring us, man.
You're welcome. I mean, a lot of you already know this or you've learned this, but sometimes it's good to hear again. Anyway, guys, we're coming up. We got 15 minutes left. We got an onboarding call at 2 with Bill. And he already posted the links in the chat here, and he also has the links posted in the Discord, in the announcements channel, and in the main text or in the main chat. And I'm watching the charts closely here, guys. I will let you know if I see any changes, but I'm still short, and I'm going to hold this short until I think we hit. Until I think we're going to hit probably. We probably will come down to the 101 at least, which was the big low. 1015 was the dip that we had on the 10th. But if we go a little further down to 98, and if we do happen to wick down to that CME gap, we're looking at 90 to 91 to somewhere between the 91 and 98K level. I definitely will be posting and giving updates in the chat over the weekend. But let me just show you this real quick, because I think someone asked to take a screenshot earlier, but this whole wedge right here, guys, if you take a screenshot and you just draw your lines very similarly coming down from here, I am on the daily time frame on Bitcoin margin. Do it on the Bitcoin margin chart, not necessarily USDT chart. And this is where the CME gap is with this white line, and this is the upward trend. And so somewhere right in here, anywhere in this zone right here, we could come down and accomplish several things. One, we're going to retest the support here at the 98K, wick down and retest the upward trending support here between 97 and 98K, and possibly wick down and fill the CME gap here between 91 and 93K. And all of that can happen right here. And look at this. I mean, it's amazing that all three of these, this line and these lines, all converge right here in the same intersection. And we're like right above that, coming down to it. So this could happen quickly, or it could take weeks to get here. But if it happens quickly, it would just knock all this out right in one fell swoop and not be too far below the blue line to do it. And it would look like this, where we hit the blue line. I mean, you could see the candles, they stopped on the blue line, but the wicks went all the way down to 74.5 before coming back up. We could do that again. The candles come down to the blue line, 93, 94, and it wicks right down to 91, comes right back up. That's kind of where we're at. You're welcome, Maxine. You're welcome, Mark. Dan Marino. Dan Marino.
He's asking about CoinM and why you're trading in CoinM, I think.
Yeah.
No, not CoinM, because you right now you're just like, when you draw these lines, do it in Bitcoin margin.
Yeah, that's CoinM margin right up here. Bitcoin margin. I trade on Bitcoin margin because I'm trying to accumulate more Bitcoin. But if you're on a USDT chart, USDT margin against Bitcoin, it's going to look a little different. The lines aren't going to match up the same as mine here.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's what I was wondering because I'm doing USDT and mine are a little different than yours.
Yeah, that's going to be slightly different.
Okay, yeah, because like my bottom blue line has me coming out at like 92,000 instead of I think yours is like the 10 something. Or no, yeah, you're closer, 94.
Yeah, it's right. It's still in that same range, but yeah, try to get as close as possible. Or you can go over to the BTC margin chart and just draw the lines and just flip back and forth to it to look at it. You can still have it drawn up like this on the BTC margin chart.
Okay. Does that make a difference when we're putting in the call outs? Should I be doing it on margin for your margin call outs and then vice versa for the USDT?
Shit, what did I just do? I just put a TP there. I don't know how. Say that one more time. Should you be doing what?
Whenever you do your call outs, if they're in margin, should I put them in as coin on coin instead of doing USDT? Because I've been doing all USDT.
You can trade on either one. It's very similar. It's just not exactly the same. And so it just know this, that if you accumulate USDT, if you have a winning trade, you're making USDT and I'm making Bitcoin. And so it just depends on what your goal is. Are you trying to accumulate more stable coin? Are you trying to make money, or are you trying to make more Bitcoin or crypto? So I do both. Actually, let's just look down here. I am two shorts, a coin margin and a USDT margin. Both. I'm actually up more on the USDT one. I'm up 51% on Bitcoin. I'm up 64% on USDT, and I'm up on XRP. But I do both. So when I place a trade in coin margin, I generally do the same trade in USDT.
Okay. Yeah, my plan was just to do USDT, and then when I send it back to Kraken, I was going to do 30% by Bitcoin and 70% as bills.
Yeah, you can do that. And again, that's a personal preference, guys. I don't use any of the money that I make trading to pay bills right now. I have other income coming in, but fortunately, I'm able to do that where I can just accumulate. But if you need the money from trading, like if you're trading for income, then it doesn't matter whether you trade on a Bitcoin margin or USDT margin. You're going to have to convert it back to US dollars at one point to pay your bills, right? Which, by the way, is a taxable event if you're divulging that information to anybody. I think that it seems like Trump is trying to make it tax-free. I think that, guys, we are heading towards a no tax situation, no personal income tax situation, probably in the near future, hopefully. That would make sense if the tariffs really work. It's called a external revenue service instead of internal revenue service, where the money's coming from external sources rather than internally from the US citizens. And that'll be a great day in this country, considering how much I owe in income tax. I would be welcoming that personally. I do pay a lot, but I also take advantage of every tax strategy that exists. I mean, I'm using cost segregations on real estate. I'm using depreciation. I'm taking advantage of everything I can. I have very smart tax attorneys and real estate attorneys to help me with that. But Robert says, don't know what happened in my life. Yeah, I don't know, but Trump is talking about it, and he's the only president that I've seen ever really push it, other than Kennedy. But you see what happened to Kennedy when he announced it. Oh, that's cool. In Mexico, there are currently no tax on crypto. Trump did mention that they were going to get rid of taxes on crypto if you've earned it in America from a U.S. Crypto company. So we will see if that all plays out. That is part of the Genius Act. I'm not sure if that went into state yet. Yeah, Florida has no state income tax. I live in Florida, but we got federal. We still got federal. And Florida's also getting rid of property taxes, which is pretty cool. I think that'll probably spread around the country. We got a no-nonsense governor, basically very smart, and says, listen, when you buy something at the store, you pay your taxes on it, and that's it. You don't have to keep paying taxes every year to keep the car, to keep the couch or the TV or whatever you bought. So why do you have to do it with real estate? You buy a house, you pay taxes on it once. That's it. You shouldn't have to keep paying it every year in order to keep it. Otherwise they take it from you. So that's going to be a thing of the past too, I think. And the other states are starting to adopt that as well. They're fighting for that as well. And there's some other states that are going to zero state tax, trying to attract more people. Guys, when you realize, first of all, it's the dumbest thing in the world. The money doesn't go to anything you would ever want to participate in. And not only that, but they print more money out of thin air. So why do they need our tax dollars? But at the same time, that's a whole nother argument altogether. We're gonna have to wrap this up. We can talk about that on another call. But I'm gonna keep you posted as I see things change on the charts. Get on the onboarding with Bill starting here in 5 minutes if you're new. And if you have any questions, just ask it in the main chat and we will get it answered for you. And other than that, let me just see if there's any more questions. Texas, yeah, they're going no state income. It's coming, guys. It's happening. I don't know if it'll happen in our lifetime, but but you still can legally reduce your tax liability almost down to nothing if you use real estate. That's one of the main reasons why I invest in real estate, not just for the appreciation and the cash flow, but also for taxes. It helps you wipe them out. All right, guys, have a great rest of your afternoon. Have a great weekend. I will be definitely in the charts. I will definitely be posting updates and notifications. I'll post cell phone video updates as well over the weekend because I think we are, we could just be coming down for this double bottom and a big bounce, and that'll be a good time to go long and get out of the short. But I'll let you know as soon as I do that. All right, guys.